What's going on, guys? Captain Rick. It is Saturday, July 12th. Just getting done with a charter this morning. So we had 6 guys from the Rochester area, and we had a short day. There was only a 6-hour trip. So we saw the buoy data said that there was some cold water inshore. So we stopped in about 80 foot of water and worked our way west-northwest from there. Fishing was not fast and furious for us. First thing in the morning, we were getting steady bites, but once we got into 8:30, 9:30, 10 o'clock, like we had 2 fish in the box at 10 o'clock. We had a king and a coho. We'd lost 5 or 6 other fish and threw back an undersized Atlantic. So the bite for us was pretty frustrating. And then we made a decision and changed up our target species, and the day went much better. So we'll start off with the morning bite. First shot was on a slider on a 50 rigger, I believe. It took a Mash Confusion. That was a decent fish. We dropped it. The 300 copper went twice today. That was pulling I don't know if I can find it. Anyways, it was a salmon candy green jeans. Yeah, I can't find it. Salmon candy green jeans. That went twice in the 300 today. One was a really nice fish. We had just boated our first salmon, and that rod starts ripping. The one rig that did take both of our fish that ended up hitting the cooler was a hammer tine chip, just a glow green head behind it with some glow green Twinkies. That took the two salmon that ended up in our cooler. One was a Chinook, one was a coho. Because of the cold water, everything was kind of high, so our riggers, we were running anywhere from 35 down to 75. Our divers, we were keeping them right around that 60 to 70 foot mark, which on one settings we were out 110 to 120, and on our high divers, they were 2.5 settings, they were out 140, 150. And our divers took a couple shots, our riggers took a couple shots, and then that 300 copper, we ran a 400, we ran a 250, never took a bite on either of those. So at 10 o'clock, we had a salmon and a coho in the cooler, and we had thrown back in Atlantic. We had lost everything else that we hooked up in the morning. So we made the decision to slide in and go brown trout fishing. We had been working a little west of the harbor in anywhere from 90 to 200 foot of water, just doing some north-south stuff, and we just never saw a screen. Even when we were getting fish inside first thing in the morning, didn't have a great screen by any means. Not seeing the marks, not seeing the bait. So we said, let's just change gears, slide in, and do some brown trout fishing. Took a look at the buoy again, figured out where we had to start. We trolled it south until we hit about 40 foot of water, and then we slowly worked it in from there. Depending on where you were on the shoreline, we got as shallow as 30 foot. We got as deep as 40, 50 feet. And that's where the water was. For some reason, closer to harbor, the colder water was closer to the shoreline. As you got away from the harbor, you had to go out a little bit deeper. And so that's due to the structure that's around the oak. There's a little ledge out here out front. I'm sure that had something to do with it. But once we got into the brown trout water, absolutely unbelievable bite. We had some dynamite size brown trout, nothing over 10 pounds. I think the biggest probably was pushing 8 pounds. But we had a lot in that 6 to 7 pound range, and everything was spoons. So we ran our 3 riggers, we ran our bottom lines back anywhere from 20 to 30 feet, put them down 10 foot, clipped on a cheater with a rubber band, and then sent those down. And we tried to stay pretty close to the bottom. We ran our divers on 1.5s and 3s. They were going pretty good. The low divers on a 1 were probably in that 45 to 50 foot out range, where the high divers on a 3, we were running those 60 to 75 feet, 65 to 75 feet, I would say. And that was keeping them within a few feet of the bottom when we were in that 30 foot of water range. Once we slid out, we would let a bit of line out and just keep them as close to bottom. And that's where the smart troll really shines when you're diver fishing. If you're fishing brown trout and you don't have a smart troll in your divers, you're really missing out, because you can dial that diver within a few feet of bottom and get it right in front of that fish's face. We were marking some brown trout, we were marking some bait in there, but for the amount of fish we were catching, we were not marking those fish. Like I said, riggers were good. They were hitting the cheaters. I think our best one hit the cheater. That was on a dirty snowman. That stinger right there, that's a custom stinger. I think you can get that at FishUSA. Fat Nancy's might have that as well. Divers were going, and then when we were in the 30 foot range, I put out a couple of 5 colors. They both went. Basically, the spoons we were using were spoons that had chartreuse and green in them, a little bit of glow, silver. Did run a couple of spoons that had a gold back. So this is a gold back super slim seasick waddler. That took a fish or two. I think the regular seasick waddler, the silverback, took them as well. The super slim Chili Willy, that was pretty good. Not sure what that is, but that's just a UV. Maybe it's a green skirt. Oh, let's see here. That was really it. I mean, at times we had 3 browns flopping on the dash or on the deck of the boat. The brown trout bite was amazing. In an hour, we put 9 in the box, threw back a half a dozen babies, and lost a couple. So it really saved the day for us. And you know, that's great that we have those options. You know, we can throw cowbells down, catch lake trout. We can go in there and chase brown trout. Everything's kind of set up into that summer pattern where if plan A is not working, you've got other species on the South Shore you can go in and target. So that's pretty cool. And I encourage everybody to go in there and sharpen your skills on each of these species so that you don't have a bad day of fishing. You know, you're out there, you can be productive. So if you have a slow day of salmon fishing, I don't care where you are, if you're on the east end, if you're up in Wilson, slide in, check out the brown trout if the salmon aren't cooperating. I do know there's some coho fishing going on offshore. A couple buddies called me later in the morning, early afternoon. They were getting some action out on the 26 line. I think that's where we're headed for the afternoon trip. That guys want to catch salmon, so we're going to go out a little further than we made it this morning and see if we can get into a few more salmon. That east wind's blowing again, and it's just going to keep piling cold water on the shoreline, and the most stable water is going to be further offshore. So we're going to head out there on the afternoon trip, but it was a frustrating morning, but it ended up being a great morning after we decided to change gears and head in and brown trout fish. So that's the report for this morning, guys. I'll hit you up with a report after the afternoon trip, let you know how we did a little bit deeper. We'll get that loaded up so you guys could keep an eye on that for tomorrow if you are heading out. And then obviously we'll be out tomorrow again, same guys that I have out this afternoon, and we'll have a report for tomorrow as well. But thanks for watching, guys. As always, I appreciate all the comments and likes and people walking up to me and explaining how much they enjoy these videos. So it means a lot. I appreciate it, and good fishing if you get out. Thanks. Bye.